For years, Nigeria has devised many ways to tackle banditry, ravaging many parts of the country. One of these is Amnesty, but the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, has kicked against Amnesty for bandits and terrorists in the country. The Army Chief said Amnesty instituted in many states failed to achieve their purpose. According to him, rather than repent, beneficiaries of such gesture use it as an avenue to regroup and attack innocent citizens. I was going to say Major General Lagbaja is looking at what he has in terms of military hardware and how proficient they could be, and you want to just face this head on.
To cut his teeth.
Well, it's just saying the truth. I'm not a soldier, but I'm also opposed to amnesty for these good-for-nothing people. There's no need for amnesty. Crush them. They are not stronger than the state. We have tolerated this nonsense for too long. Two times, Governor Masari gave amnesty. 2 times he had X on his face. And if you ask him one of his biggest regrets, Governor Masari would tell you that it was opting for amnesty. The secretary to the government of the state, at that time, our friend Dr. Mustafa, he was on This Morning last week. He was the one who used to personally go into the forest to meet those guys. And then on an occasion, the governor himself went to see Buhari Ndaji. With Buhari Ndaji clutching his AK-47 and standing next to the governor, bumper to bumper. People were like, what's the meaning of this? He had to do that to reassure them. But did Buhari Ndaji not go back to the forest? Was he not killed inside the Dan Sadao forest by Dogo Gide after he stole cattle belonging to Dogo Gide's in-laws? So they don't change. These are not the people that you give amnesty to, are people involved in crime with political connotation. These are not, they have nothing to do with ideology, with politics. It's just pure criminality. They want to make their money.
This is different from Boko Haram.
No. They just want to make their money and go.
This is economy.
This is purely criminal in nature. They don't give amnesty to those people. You simply send them on an errand to go and meet
their maker.
That's the best thing to do. And if as a country we have soldiers that we pay them so much, we have generals, and we can't deal with these boys, then something is wrong. Something is wrong. So I agree absolutely with Lagbaja. This thing, you give the amnesty, they will not stop. Look at even the one that was killed, Ghana, the one that was killed in Benue. Why did the army get angry and they had to kill him? Because that was the second amnesty that they were going to give him. And the army said, informally, you know, that they came out in the open. Of course, they would not say that in the open, you know. The army said they've never seen where amnesty is given twice to an individual. And for me too, I don't think I've seen where amnesty was given to the same individual 2 times. So on their way to go and meet the governor, the military used articulated trucks to block the road, and they killed Ghana because they had killed a lot of their colleagues. So it was difficult to say, why did they do it? Why did they do it? Yes, it's what's it called?
Extrajudicial.
Extrajudicial in nature. But at the end of the day, these guys are human. Some of them have lost their best friends to this guy. So how do you expect them to watch him again, collect a second amnesty? After that, you go back to the bush, start killing people, and then come back for a 3rd amnesty? That joke has to stop at some point. Amnesty for these ones? No.
But some people will be of the school of thought that, look, it is not every situation that you deploy force, and you can't use the military to defeat, in all cases. That, these guys, we have tried it, we've deployed the military against them, and we've not gotten results. They want to argue that we might want to use another method, but maybe carrot and stick.
No. These are criminals. They have no political or religious undertone. that is driving this. It's a pure criminality. And the moment you allowed state actors to bow to the whims and caprices of non-state actors, then the state is lost. Because the essence of power is ability to provide security for the members of that community. Throughout history, the history of civilization, it is the ability of lords and kings to protect their people that led to the emergence of city-states. So it cannot now be our turn that will now allow criminals to dictate how we live our lives, because some people are romanticizing the very elements of what this is. Unless you are going to paint it in another brush, this is purely people who are interested in using criminality to make money. And I agree with the Chief of Army Staff. Apart from the fact that he prides himself of being a soldier, the best way for a new leader to show leadership is to do what he thought, as maybe second in command or part of the troop, that he saw what the former GOCs are doing, that he thought were not getting results. This is time to cut his teeth as Chief of Army Staff. And this is not the time to start talking about amnesty in the first place. Because granted that some people will always use that excuse, especially those who believe that they can always negotiate. You don't negotiate with a snake. Nobody uses a snake as a pet. Because sooner or later,
people, white people.
General Buratai, former Chief of Army Staff.
so be a black man that uses snake.
It was the issue of pets. Pythons now. The people use pythons.
The man in Thailand who was using a crocodile as a pet was consumed by the crocodile. Because sooner or later, an animal will show itself to be an animal.
So you are saying those boys are animals. That's what you are saying.
All right. Joining us from Zuru in Kebbi State for more discussion on this issue is the former Chief of Army Staff, retired Lieutenant General Ishaya Rizi Bamaiyi, who is the Uban Yaki of Zuru. Thank you for joining us, General.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Uban Yaki Zuru.
I think we're still trying to establish a contact. All right. General, how will you describe life after retiring from active military service 24 years ago?
Well, so life is how you manage it. When things happen, you adjust and try to keep yourself online. So I think generally life is acceptable, except for the unfortunate security situations we found ourselves, which we are still facing.
As a former army chief, how will you assess the insecurity ravaging the Northwest?
I think it's most unfortunate and avoidable. I say avoidable because I believe we have the armed forces that can handle the situations. But I think it is the lack of will from the government. The security forces, I don't believe, have been given the right orders to take the right. That's the situation we have. But if given the right orders, the right logistic support, I believe we have an armed forces that can sort out this problem within 2 months. We know the places, some of the governors have been meeting them. Some have been come out to say that they know them and they talk to them. Yet, their states were being ravaged. That means there's a failure somewhere to act. But I sincerely believe if they are given the right orders, the right equipment, we can get this problem sorted out within 2 months. That's my personal view.
Now, when you talk about the right order or orders, what exactly are you talking about here? Are you of the view that sometimes they stop them from taking the battle to these boys?
Let me be very sincere with you. When I talk of right orders, the armed forces do not work on their own. You have a commander-in-chief. We have service chiefs. Unless the commander-in-chief gives that order, nobody can do anything. Let me give you an example. I am from the local government area. I was in my village house in Machika, and there was something going on around Senoko village. And I decided to go and see for myself. And I drove myself. I got to a place, I met soldiers sitting down, and firing was going on about a kilometer in their front. And I asked the lieutenant in charge, said, look, are you not hearing what is happening? Houses are being burnt and there was in smoke. And he told me, sir, we have not been told to act. And no military chap or unit will go and start fighting without receiving the right orders. When I talk the right orders, legitimate orders, because if anything happens, you have to justify your action. But I was a soldier before I became an officer. I started my service on the ranks. I went to the Defense Academy as a corporal. And I know what it is for operations to be successful. So the right orders must come from the highest point, and that is the commander-in-chief. No chief of army staff can deploy troops anywhere without receiving instructions. In most cases, written instructions. And I believe the problem we had was nobody was there, courageous enough to give such orders for reasons known to those who were there before. That's what I mean.
Now, there are those who have said that we can only win this battle against this band of criminals using kinetic and non-kinetic approach. As a retired chief of army staff, which approach would you recommend for us as a nation to get us out of this big problem? General Bamaiyi, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, let me reframe my question. I said there are those who believe that to win this war against bandits and terrorists, we need the kinetic and non-kinetic approach. As a former chief of army staff of our great country, what approach would you recommend for us to defeat these people?
As far as I'm concerned, from the military point of view, I don't believe in other palliative more than facing these people frontally and defeating them on the field. I do not see any other approach to it, because they are not people who have any feelings, they are not any people who want peace. And to make peace, sometimes you have to fight and make peace by force. It's not all the time to go about begging people. You cannot beg these people who have been there terrorizing people. My people in rural area now, most of them are no farm for the last 2 years. I'm a farmer. I have not been to the farm now for 2 years because I cannot afford to see my people being killed in the field. So my approach is proper military action. Thank you.
Now, Kebbi, your home state, is one of the states most hit by banditry. Why is Kebbi's situation peculiar?
Well, and that is why I feel the proper approach is to defeat these people on the field by use of force. Because I am saddened we have so much responsibility on our people. Our people are known to be hardworking. We are all peasant farmers. Many of them have not gone to the farm for 2 years. We are having so much burden supporting these people. I am not blaming anybody, but I still believe, if we have right orders, proper equipment, proper logistics, this thing can be overcome in 2 months. We have men who can do it. Nigerian army that have left so many years ago, I don't think has changed much. If they are given the right order, every officer will want to be a successful officer. I believe we can do it.
Do you think we have the right number of troops to get the job done?
I believe we do have. What we do not have is the will. And that will is from the leadership. The will must come from the leadership. Let the leadership be sincere. Because I think what has happened in the past years is lack of sincerity.
Wow.
And I must say from top to bottom, a situation where you see bandits sitting down to discuss with a governor, and then a governor coming out to tell you that they know them, they speak to them. What else do you need? It means, how many forests do we have here that are paying impenetrable to the military? I believe we have the men. It is not the crowd that matters. Give them proper equipment, ensure that their morale is high, and I assure you, with good leadership in the field, we'll do it. I'm convinced it is possible.
Kebbi State, especially Zuru, is known for producing so many generals, so many fantastic commanders and all that. Is there anything that retired generals, retired officers of Zuru origin are doing to try to solve this problem of constant killing of your people by bandits? Is that a way we are coming together?
Well, I think we have been doing a lot silently. Don't forget, we're retired, and there's a limit to what you can do. We cannot go and buy arms for people. But what we have is we have been supporting our local vigilantes that we call Yansakai. They know us, we know them. We have been giving them as much logistic support as we can. And I assure you, given the opportunity, we can raise 2 brigades in Zuru land. But if you raise brigades, what are they going to fight with? We cannot go and buy arms. But if there's a way that this thing can be organized, and these people get legal issue of arms, I assure you that we'll take care of it. We have been defending our people. Otherwise, this route itself would have gone. Our people have been doing, the generals have been doing very well. At least I know about 2, 3 generals that have taken so much pain, taken logistics for distributed their families, widows, and the rest of it. So I think the generals have done well. And the soldiers are ready to act, given the right incentives.
Now, still talking about the matter of supporting the vigilance groups. Every time the bandits and the vigilantes clash, it usually results in heavy casualty on the part of the vigilantes because they don't have the kind of weapons, the RPGs, the AK-47, AK-49, and GPMG that these boys have. Don't you think that it amounts to putting young people in harm's way if we encourage them to confront people that they do not have the kind of weapons they have?
Well, for those who are not around, the people might think that the casualty rate is higher on vigilante, but that is not true. They have been forced to learn tactics. And in most cases, what they now use is to ambush these people In fact, I think they are the ones suffering very high casualties. Unfortunately, even if you have the spoils of war in weapons, you cannot use them. Otherwise, we would have been equipping ourselves with the weapons we recover from them. But anytime these weapons are there, you have to hand them over to the police. Unfortunately, sometimes the army and the police come into it and they have joint operations. So it is not true that we have more casualties than the bandits, than the bandits. Maybe you need to check what happened about a week or 2 weeks ago. You'll find out when they found out where they surrounded them, the army came in, and it was a very, very successful operation. So I do not agree that we have more casualties on Sakai side than the bandits. No. We have casualties, no doubt about it. But the ratio is not as people are thinking about.
General, what do you think will happen if we go the way of getting state police to handle this particular situation? Given the fact that the Nigerian army is being overstretched for all these internal conflicts that they are working on, will creating state police not be a better option in solving this particular quagmire?
Well, state police is a good idea, but I'm not sure that the state police will solve the problems of banditry, especially in this area. Are you going to have a state police that is properly equipped, properly trained? And what are the number of how many of them? Because when we talk of state police, we are going to have people. But when we are talking of these, our vigilantes, you virtually have them in every house, although you don't know them. State police, if properly equipped, will be fine. But how do you get the required number of operations from time to time?
You are garrison commander here in Lagos, and you also held many top positions in the army. What has changed in the way the army of your era was run and what we have now?
Well, I must confess, whatever it is revolving. Now, when I was in service, it was a military government. We were getting instruction directly from the commander-in-chief. We were not involved in politics. So we had no political consideration in any issue. Unfortunately, from 1999 to date, firstly, when the then commander-in-chief, General Taoreed came in, he wrongly retired all the officers who are military governors. Some of them were one of the best officers we had. They were on military posting. They did not apply to the military governors. We posted them, and we should have allowed them to go back into service. But politics came in, and eventually many officers, politicians nowadays, they're involved in even postings. People go to the academy, recruitment of soldiers, and what the result is this. You bring in people who are not interested in the job. I know there's a quota system, but once you join that, the quota system is finished. Politicians came in, to me, as far as I'm concerned, and destroyed the army. As a result, those who are in the military, many of them, not all, we still have fantastic officers. But there are some soldiers who came in there just to get access to the weapons, and you can see some of Some of them are arrested as bandits, armed robberies, and the rest of it. Then came this unfortunate issue of going to put soldiers on permanent roadblocks. Soldiers roadblocks are not static. You come in, snap roadblocks. As soon as the objective is objective, they pull them out. But today, go to the road. You find soldiers on roadblocks, some of them permanently. I went through some unfortunate days of soldiers being corrupted to collect money from passengers. That is not a soldier's responsibility. So if you are asking me about our own time and this time, we are all the same officers, we are of the same profession, but the professional aspect of it, to some extent, has been eroded.
Wow.
You have officers now being answerable to some politicians. Politicians influencing, posting, recruitment, and the rest of it. That has lowered standards, has affected morale, and has affected good command. That's what I feel, my personal view.
At the time that President Obasanjo took that decision, many people felt he did it to protect the regime and ensure that it doesn't get, that the army doesn't take over power. Because he felt that some of those officers were already politically exposed one way or another. So people believe that he did it as a way of, as a form of regime protection.
Well, if that's what he did, then he must have made a very wrong accusation. Because by the time we left, even the military itself was tired of governance, because it was facing a lot of indiscipline. And that's why I ran into trouble as a chief of army staff. I had the roughest time as a chief of army staff, because I decided to descend on those of them who felt they could do anything and get away with it. It stopped. But the military itself was tired. So the question of sending out the best brains, and those of them, most of them rank of colonel, who are at that time, who are at the strip of their profession, I think it was a wrong decision. And having sent them out, you now let people who are not experienced, who already got scared, they will be tired if they don't do anything, and they were no more really interested in taking care of the profession, and therefore not bothering about the welfare of their own soldiers. That's the effect. And that effect is still being felt in the Nigerian army today. I think it was a wrong decision.
So what can we do at this stage? I know that many years ago, soldiers had access to trainings in Sandos and many of those great institutions. But I'm told that the finances to support such training are not there. Is it that your own juniors do not have the privileges that you had, the benefit of solid training that you and your colleagues had?
Well, when you talk of privileges, as far as I'm concerned, a soldier is not supposed to be a wealthy person. A soldier needs to be comfortable. And I think you are very comfortable. But unless this government takes steps to stop interfering in army, what do you call it, we have our own established way of doing things. But unfortunately, we started getting involved in army promotions, postings, and the rest of them. As a result, What we have now inherited is a situation where you have so many officers without something doing, because promotion was not being done on vacancies. If you have 10 vacancies and you promote 30 officers, you can only post 10 of them. As a result, go some offices, you find some generals sitting down, no job, and it is frustrating. It is not wearing the rank that matters. It is doing the job and justify your promotion. So I think there's a lot to do. The review of condition of the army should be allowed to go by the terms and conditions of the service. Once you do that, it covers everything. But if there's interference from anywhere, political interference, it is bound to cause confusion, it is bound to bring problems and low morale. And when you have an army without high morale, you have a problem. That's my view.
The issue of mass retirement when service chiefs are promoted, like the one we just had recently.
Appointed.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is a normal thing. As a commander-in-chief, you come in, you want your own service chief who will do what you want. I'm not saying that the others were disloyal or whatever it is, but it is normal that when you take over, you reorganize. There is nothing wrong in organizing issues. And when you reorganize, some people are bound to lose their posts. I do not see anything wrong with it, with the commander-in-chief coming in and okay, this is the team I want to work with. After all, if you are fortunate, every officer, competent officer in the army wants to be chief of army staff, but you can't all be. And if you are there, even if it is for 1 month, you have achieved the objective. So as far as I'm concerned, you've achieved whatever you want to achieve. That's the highest level you can get. But I believe as a commander-in-chief, you have right, and it is better for you to choose your own services. Go back, you check that there's some commanders, that officers who stay for very long, and you become effective until you start going down. So I believe the action of retiring, appointing services at any time is the prerogative of the commander-in-chief, and nobody should question it.
General, but the concern is sometimes up to 100, 130 officers get retired just because some service chiefs have been appointed. Are we not losing so many officers after all the money that we spent in training them? We just lose officers in their prime like that. Is it not wrong?
You see, in the military, you must maintain discipline. Most of these officers that are always asked to go as officers who are senior to the man being appointed as chief of army staff. And there is no rule or term of condition that says the president must appoint the most senior officer. You could be the most senior, but you may not be effective. And I don't think there's a problem there. If my junior is appointed, it is left to me to decide whether to work with him or go. If you are going to work with him, will you take orders from him? The chief of army staff. You are his senior by commission or promotion, whatever it is. So I believe the army is safe, and that's why I say we should look at the terms and conditions of them. They are suffering their own mistakes by promoting people anyhow. You don't promote without vacancies. And I think there are many officers who have been promoted. Many of them don't have offices. So what are you giving them for? When you talk of money, whether you leave them there, frustration comes in. It will also affect the chief of army staff you have appointed. because he might find it difficult to be giving instructions to officers who are his senior. We had this problem. When I was appointed chief of minister, I was not the senior, no. But what the great commanding-in-chief then did was to take those who are senior to me to Minister to Defense headquarters. So they were no more under my command.
Okay.
They were then under the command of the CDS, who was their senior. It all depends how you play your cards. There's no problem if you sit down and plan properly. But I think it would be wrong to appoint the junior officer and then leave his seniors in service. It will destroy morale. The indiscipline will come in.
Some analysts have said that we are not recruiting enough soldiers, that we don't have enough. What do you think about the numerical strength of our military?
I've not got that question. Could you please come again?
As in, we've not recruited enough soldiers, that we don't have enough soldiers in the country, that we need to recruit more.
That's what people are saying.
Recruit more what?
That we don't have enough
Soldiers.
Enough troops.
Well, to me, if we don't have enough officers, we wouldn't have a situation where I have some office, 4 or 5 officers live in one office with no appointments. If you recruiting more does not mean you not go by the terms and conditions of service. If you recruit more officers or soldiers, they go for training. It is a matter of people being phased out as their time service, which I think is 35 years or so. But the army itself made one mistake, which I was told they corrected. While we were in service, for every rank, you spent 5 years. I was a lieutenant 5 years, captain 5 years, major 5 years, lieutenant 5 years, and so on. But when you shoot yourself on the leg by reducing this time, the other time you take 4 years as a brigadier general to make a better general. Then it was cut down to 2 years.
General, sir,
danger, which means
do we have enough?
too many people.
Do we have
You have
enough
to promote
soldiers? Do we have enough soldiers to deal with the security threats that we have as a nation? Do we have enough?
You see, the question is this. My answer is this. It is not the number of soldiers that matter. Have you equipped them properly? Have you trained them properly? Have you given them the proper leadership? Have you bothered about their welfare? These are issues. The moment you don't take care of your soldiers, even you have so many of them, it's of no effect than if you have properly trained soldiers with very high morale, well equipped. So it's not a matter of numbers. So for me, I cannot answer that question because I don't know the strength of the Nigerian army today. So I cannot tell you we have or we don't have. But I believe, I repeat, given the right order, the right equipment, we have soldiers who can overcome this banditry.
Okay, General, finally, you were put in prison for years. What are your regrets after serving?
Sorry, I've not got to go.
As in, you were put in prison after serving. That is you finished serving in 1998. What are your regrets?
You are in prison for many years. So what are your regrets about being put in prison after serving your country meritoriously?
Let me be very sincere with you. I have no grudge for going to prison. I believe that the way the government was pursuing me there, God took me there to save my life, to protect me. So I have no grudges with anybody. As I said before, all those I felt had a hand in my going to prison, I've met them after imprisonment. What after I left prison? I've met all of them, including the Commander-in-Chief, General Taoreed there. I do not have any hard feelings for anybody. All I have is glory to God for sparing me. And I'm still healthy, I'm still okay. The army is still taking very good care of me. I'm still alive. And one thing I can assure you, well, I'm always in support of the government, whatever it is. So I have no grudges whatsoever against anybody. What I have is gratitude to God for sparing my life.
All right. I want to thank you, former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ishaya Bamaiyi.
I thank you very much for having me.
All right.
I'm sure.
Let me close by saying, all I've said are my views, and I strongly believe in whatever I've said. I'm convinced, given the opportunity, that's exactly what I do, that's what I believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And we are certain that we are going to interview you some other time, because there are some things that we couldn't ask you today.
Yes, so
about the place of Zuru in the military, how you and your brother Musa got into the military and all that. So there is a lot that we will talk about some other time when we interview you, sir.
Well, if I'm alive by the grace of God, I'll be there to answer the question.
You'll be alive, sir. By God's grace, you'll be alive.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
thank you. All right. Today, Bamaiyi. Remember the famous Bamaiyi brothers?
Yes.
Under General
Shaya and Musa.
Yes, so one was in NDLA.
Yes.
And
The one with
just-
the mustache.
yes.
He chased away so many of the wannabe boys. Yes, he chased them, even their musicians. They fled abroad.
Yes.
You know, that is the elder brother. He's the one
Musa is the elder.
who brought the Shire into the army.
Oh.
You know?
All right. Okay. Chikebi. Oh, thank you.
Always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Our time is fast
It's a
spent.
very good interview. He spoke the truth.
Yeah.
Just the way he
Spoke his mind. Yeah.
spoke his mind.
Okay. Tomorrow.
So
you
we'll
can-
get him.
Yes, definitely. Tomorrow we'll give you more updates on the resignation of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress. And that's our package today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program by 5 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. See you tomorrow.